All right, welcome back, Bobcats. We're off to Chapter 3, Lesson number 10 today. We're going to talk about zeros in our quotients. So as you can see, we have our standard there, our objective. Everyone read with me. I will divide problems that result in quotients that have zeros. So the key terms that we want to look at here are quotients and zeros. So when we do a division problem, that is our quotient, our answer. And sometimes our answers have zeros in them. So we're going to take a look today at some problems where our quotients are going to have zeros in them. And how does that affect us when we're going through our steps? First, let's take a look at our vocabulary. You should have your notebook out, titled with today's lesson, 310. Title it with vocabulary. Our vocabulary term today is quotient. I know it's a review. Let's write down the definition. Again, remember, you can pause the video at any time if you need to get caught up with your notes. Quotient, the result of a division problem. It is the result. It's the answer. Okay? So here we have an example. 25 divided by 5 is equal to 5. 5 that I've circled there. That is our quotient. Here's another example of a quotient. 112 divided by 7. As we go through the steps, we multiply, we subtract, we divide, and then we get our answer, our quotient, which is 16. Okay, those are two examples of a quotient. Go ahead and put those down into your notes. All right, let's take a look at this problem here. So it says, Elena's school has collected $1,435 to use for student assemblies. There will be 7 student assemblies. If they spend an equal amount on each assembly, how much will Elena's school spend on each assembly? Alright, so this is a good example of using a tape diagram so we can kind of figure out what it is that they're talking about here. So if we use a tape diagram, we know this is the amount of money. So we're going to say that this tape diagram represents the $1,435 the school has. And then there are going to be 7 assemblies. So we need to take this tape diagram and split it into 7 pieces. See if I can do that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I know they're not equal, but that's okay. It's just to represent the amount of assemblies that we're going to have. And in those 7 assemblies, they're going to spend this amount of money. So how much is each assembly? Each individual assembly is going to be the same amount, as it says right there, equal amount. Okay? So let's go ahead and divide that, because that's what we're doing. We're taking the amount and splitting it into 7 pieces, or dividing it into 7 pieces. So if we do that, we go ahead and set it up. We're going to put 1,435 on the inside of our house. On the outside of the house is 7. That's the number of assemblies. So let's go ahead and divide here. So 7 does not go into 1. I'm going to put an X in my quotient line. 7 does go into 14. So that's the division part, right? Our steps, we divide, we multiply, we subtract, and we bring down. You should know those steps by now, ingrained into your head. 14 divided by 7 is 2, goes up in my quotient line. I multiply. 2 times 7 is equal to 14. I subtract. Now I bring down and do those steps all over again. Bring the 3 down. Uh-oh, this is weird. How many times does 7 go into 3? Well, 7 doesn't go into 3, not even once. So it must be a 0. So this is what we're talking about, is 0 in our quotient. 7 times 0 is 0. We subtract. I'm running out of room here, aren't I? Bring down my 5. 7 goes into 5 times. We multiply 7 times 5. We get 35. We subtract and we get 0. Just barely have enough room there. So my quotient is 205. So they have enough for $205 for each assembly. That's what that quotient means. It's how much they're going to spend. So each one of these assemblies that they're going to have here are all going to be $205. All right, if you'd please take out your practice books, open it to page 215. It should look like what I have up there on the screen. Let's go ahead and take a look at what they're asking us. All right, example number 1. Maya is saving to buy a television. A television costs $327. She plans to save for 3 months. So how much does Maya need to save each month to buy that television? Again, another good example of a tape diagram. So she is going to save 3 months. 1, 2, 3. How much is she going to save? It's going to be $327 this whole time frame. We need to take this time frame, this 327, divide it by 3, right? And that's what they have set up for us already. 327 divided by 3. Estimating that, it should be about 100. So we will see when we get done if we are close to that estimate. All right, so first, let's divide by the hundreds, as it says here, our first direction. So as we go ahead and divide in the hundreds column, 3 divided by 3, that is 1. 1 times 3 is 3, and then we subtract. They've already brought that 2 down for us. Here's a case just like we had in our other problem, where this number here, this 2, is smaller than the number that we are dividing by. So we have to put something in this tens column. We can't just leave it blank. So we have to fill it in with a placeholder, and that placeholder is 0. 0 times 3 is 0. Go ahead and subtract. And they have already brought down our 7 for us. So it becomes 27. We can go ahead and divide. 27 divided by 3. That's right, I heard you out there. That's 9. 9 times 3 is 27. We subtract and get 0. All right, so let's go back and take a look at what they're asking us here. So, when we divide, she needs to save a grand total. This is our answer. That is our quotient. This is what we want. So she needs to save $109. So each one of these months are going to be 109, 109, 109. And when she gets done, she add up all these, it's going to be equal to that 327, right? So we got to look and see, all right, is our estimate close? Yeah, it's fairly close. 109 to 100. Yeah, we're all good. It checks out. It's reasonable. Let's move on. All right, let's take a look at example number 2. All right, so we have a little larger number to divide by this time, 5,231. Steps are the same. We're going to still divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Those steps do not change. We just have to do it one more time because we're dealing with a 4-digit number here. No problem. So we go ahead and start with the thousands column here. This 5. That 5 excuse me. That 5 is in the thousands column. We go ahead and divide the 5 by the 4. Our answer, our quotient, is going to be in the thousands column one time. 1 times 4, 4. Next, we subtract 1. Bring down the next digit. Now that 1 has become 12. 12 divided by 4. Remember, this is where we're always dividing. We start all over again. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Put that up in the quotient line. Multiply. 3 times 4 is 12. We subtract. We get 0. Bring down our next number here of 3. Uh-oh. I can't divide 4 into 3, can I? This is where I have a 0. I have to put a placeholder in there. It's not 1 because 4 would be too much. So I have to multiply it by 0. So my answer is going to be 0 after I multiply. Go ahead and subtract. Again, they brought that 1 down for us already. So we have 31. How many times does 4 go into 31? Well, 4 times 7, right? Which is equal to 28. So we're going to have 3 left over, 3 as a remainder. We're going to go ahead and put that right up here into our remainder. So our answer, 1,307 with a remainder of 3. Now again, you don't have to get bugged out because we have a 0. That is just a placeholder in the tens column. We have to leave it there. If we do not have it there, we would have 137, and we know that's not correct. That would not be reasonable. So we have to have that 0 in there simply as a placeholder. All right, next one, the guided practice number 1. I would like you guys to go ahead and try this on your own. Pause the video now, try it on your own, and then turn the recording back on to see how you did. If you get stuck along the way, go ahead and turn on the video partially, pause it when you think you got it again, and complete the problem. All right, see you in a second. All right, so let's see how we did here. So we are starting off with the 8 here, which is in the hundreds column. How many times does 4 go into 8? Well, it goes in 2 times, doesn't it? 2 times 4 is 8. We subtract, we get 0. We bring down our 4. How many times does 4 go into 4? Of course, you got that. That's 1 time. 1 times 4 is 4. We subtract that, because they want us to put a 0 here. That would be, that would be 0. We bring down our last digit of this problem. That 2, how many times does 4 go into 2? That would be 1. Would 1 time work? 1 would be 4? No. It has to be 0 times. So we've got to put a 0 in that ones column there. Multiply, we get 0. Oops, I made a mistake there, didn't I? With a remainder of 2. That remainder goes right up here, so we have 2 left over. So our quotient is 210 with a remainder of 2. Hopefully you guys all got that. All right, let's do the same thing. Let's do some practice here. I would like you to try problems number 8 and problems number 10. So I would like you to go ahead and try number 8, pause the video, and then go ahead and watch the video once you've completed it. And then go ahead and attempt number 11 once you've completed number 8. And do the same thing. Pause the video. Try the problem in your book. And then you can push play once you've completed to see how you have done. Let's check our work. So go ahead and pause the video now. All right. So let's take a look at number 8. So 840. Let's make that house a little bit longer. And we're dividing by 7. So let's go ahead and divide here. I know 7 goes into 8 1 time. And when I subtract, I have 1 left over. I bring that 4 down. It becomes 14. 14 divided by 7, I know is equal to 2. And 2 times 7 I know is equal to 14. I subtract that, I get 0. I got to bring this other 0 down. Well, how many times does 7 go into 0? Well, 0 times, right? So we got 0 in our quotients. You know, today that's what we're studying. So you should have 0 in your quotient somewhere. So our answer is 120. Hopefully you got that. All right, go ahead and again pause the video and attempt problem number 11. All right, let's take a look at number 11. I think I wrote that a little bit too close. Let's move that down. There we go. So inside we have 8,017. Extend that a little bit. And we're dividing by 9 this time. Big number. Same things apply, though. Let's go ahead and grab a different pin color. Let's choose purple. 9, I know, does not go into 8. So I'm going to put an X above there just so I keep everything in a nice, neat, straight line. Don't mess up my quotient. So I got to ask myself, all right, 80. How many times does 9 go into 80? Well, I know 9 times 8 is 72. So let's go ahead and do that. Subtract 80 minus 72. That's going to leave us 8. Bring down the 1. 81. Well, I know 9 times 9 is equal to 81. So that 9 needs to go above the 1. I'm going to have to write kind of small here. I'm going to run out of room. 0. Bring down my 7. Well, how many times does 9 go into 7? Well, it's going to be 0. Like I told you earlier, right? We're dealing with zeros in the quotient, which means all of our problems are going to have zeros in our quotients. This is going to have a remainder of 7. So our quotient is 890, remainder 7. Hopefully you got that. If you didn't, take note of where you made your mistakes so you don't make those mistakes again. That's learning. Learning is about making mistakes. Don't be afraid to make them. All right, guys. Let's take a look at this problem here. Over a page, number 15. There are 1,620 minutes of music to be put onto 9 CDs. If the same number of minutes fit on each CD, how many minutes of music fit on each CD? So this is kind of like the problem that we did before when we had the tape diagram. So we're dealing with this amount of minutes onto 9 CDs. Alright? So if you kind of think of it as far as a tape diagram goes again, it would be split into 9 CDs, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, let's add one more on, 9 CDs for a total of 1,620 minutes. That's the number of minutes that are going to be put onto each one of these 9 CDs. So when we think about this number as getting split up into 9 different pieces, we are going to divide them, aren't we? We're splitting those into 9 different pieces, the 1,620. So let's go ahead and divide that. Let's see, let me do that over here. I think I'll have more room. So 1,620, and we're going to divide that by the 9 CDs to figure out how much is on each individual CD. So, can 9 go into 1, our first digit there? No, it cannot. So let's put an X above there so we keep our space. 9 divided by 16 certainly goes in one time. We subtract 16 minus 9. We're going to go ahead and get 7. Bring down our 2. Make that 72. How many times does 9 go into 72? It goes in 8 times. 8 times 9 is 72. We subtract that. We get 0. We bring down our next digit, which is the 0. How many times does 9 go into 0? Well, it goes in 0 times, doesn't it? Which is equal to 0. We subtract. We have 0 for a remainder. So, in each one of those CDs, there are 180 minutes of music. That's a lot of songs. Okay, well, let's think for a second. What did we learn today? What exactly did we talk about? What was different than what we've done in previous lessons? I'd like you to have a quick discussion with your neighbor. Remember to use your academic language. Think of our vocabulary that we use today. We're not using the word answer. There's another word that we use for an answer for a division. That's quotient, right? So let's make sure we use that in our sentence frame. In summary, today I learned. Turn and speak with your neighbor.